Having created our image using the workflow we already know, let's now move into the mode that helps us refine it and push things a little further. Adjust. This is the final step where we focus on fine-tuning rather than redesigning the image. Once we click on the image we just created and enter Edit Image, Adjust appears as the last option in the list. When we open it, all the adjustments become available, and every change we make updates the image in real time as we work on the skateboarder image. This makes it easier to see how each adjustment affects the image as we go. The first section is light. Here we can control exposure, brightness, contrast, highlights and shadows. All values start at their default position, and as we move each slider we immediately see the result on the image. This is where you can recover dark areas that feel too heavy, reduce highlights that are too strong, or lift the overall exposure. Light is also where you can add contrast and give the image that extra punch it might be missing. Every image is different, and this section gives you the control to balance it properly. Next is color. Here we have sliders for saturation, temperature, and hue rotation. Saturation lets us boost or soften the original colors. Temperature allows us to push the image toward warmer or cooler tones. And if you want to experiment creatively, hue rotation lets you shift the color palette without changing contrast or lighting. After that, we move to tint. Tint adds a color layer on top of the image, similar to applying a color filter, but with much more control. It doesn't change the content or details of the image. Instead, it affects how colors blend together and the atmosphere of the image. You can choose a predefined color or select any color you want using the color picker, even refining it with RGB values if needed. Opacity lets you control how strong the tint effect is. Lower values keep the effect subtle and natural, while higher values make it more pronounced. Blend mode defines how the tint interacts with the original image. For example, lighten brightens the image using the chosen color. Darken makes it darker. Overlay adds contrast and creates a more cinematic look. Modes like screen or add produce softer, brighter effects, while multiply or subtract create darker or more dramatic looks. You don't need to understand every blend mode in detail. The best approach is to try them and watch how the image changes in real time. Tint works best when used gently, as a final touch to reinforce the mood or complement light and color adjustments. Next, we move on to grain. Grain adds texture to the image, similar to film grain in analog photography or cinema. The first control is amount, which defines how visible the grain is. Lower values keep things subtle and clean. Higher values make the texture more noticeable. A moderate amount usually gives the image a more organic feel without damaging quality. Under advanced, we get more detailed controls. Chromaticity adds color variation to the grain. At low values, the grain stays mostly neutral. At higher values, it takes on that colored film look. Luma controls how the grain affects brightness. Increasing it adds more variation in luminosity and can make the image feel more alive. Size defines how large the grain particles are. Smaller values create fine, subtle grain, similar to 35mm film. Larger values make the grain more visible and bold. Shadows control how much grain appears in dark areas. In traditional photographic film, grain is often more visible in darker areas, so increasing this can add realism to the image. Midtones adjust grain in the middle range of the image, which has a strong impact on the overall look. Highlights control grain in bright areas where grain is usually less noticeable, so this slider is best used carefully. Finally, octaves define the complexity of the grain. Lower values create a simpler, more uniform texture. Higher values produce a richer, more natural grain, closer to real film. The key with grain is to move slowly and watch the image as you adjust. Even small changes can make the image feel more cinematic and polished. After grain, we reach rotate. This is a simple but very useful tool for final alignment. With straighten, we can gently rotate the image until horizons or vertical lines feel correct. This is perfect for fixing images that are slightly tilted. Below that, flip options let us mirror the image horizontally or vertically with a single click. This can help correct mirrored shots or explore a different composition quickly. Finally, we arrive at presets. Presets are the fastest way to give the image a finished look. Here you'll find ready-made styles like vintage, retro film, duotone, vibrant, warm tone, cool breeze, red tint, or cold tone. As soon as you click a preset, the change is applied instantly. You can try several presets one after another and see how the mood shifts in real time. Presets are great as a final step. You can apply one and keep the result, or use it as a starting point and fine-tune light, colour, or grain to refine the image. To wrap it up, Adjust is all about final polish. It's not meant to redesign the image, but to balance it, refine it, and bring everything together. By combining presets with small manual adjustments, you can finish an image quickly while still keeping full control. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.